That was John Black, super chemist. I think it's part 2 on how the military is 36%, can't go to war. And they want it to be 70%. They want it to be 70% of the military. It's illegal to send them to a war or a war zone. That makes sense. 70% of your military can't go to war. Okay. But there are things about women, that's dealing with being a warrior, being a soldier, being in the infantry. They're not qualified, okay, first of all, because they're weaker. Their stamina is horrible compared to a man, physically and emotionally. They can't take as much, when it's prolonged. If it was an hour here, an hour there, yeah, they could take it just as much. But over prolonged periods, no, their emotional and physicality does not work in wartime. They're destroyed after these people. Like these 2% of people that are in the infantry that are females, even though the whole job of an infantry person is to go to war, that they can't do. When they get out, they still train a lot, though. You know what I mean? Their backs. A man that comes out of the infantry always has knee problems, back problems. You know what I mean? But women that come out of the infantry, they are basically incapacitated. Their life is pretty much over. They might as well just go get a wheelchair and go sit in it right then and there. So you're going to have so many problems when it comes to their backs, their legs, and also other stuff that men don't even have to deal with that happens to women because their body isn't made to be in a war. Like I said, emotionally, they're not as capable as men. They're just not. And also, when you have women in the military, especially if you have them in a combat zone, men will change the way they fight because they will try to protect that woman. You know what I mean? A lot of missions will fail because they wanted to protect that woman, or the women in the company, instead of doing their mission. You know what I mean? If they were men, they'd be like, well, we all know that we're going to die in a war. That's our honor, our integrity that we promised, and I have to sacrifice those couple men to do this mission. I'm going to do that. But when it comes to sacrificing a woman, a lot of men, and you could say, oh, blah blah blah, they're not going to do. Yes. You have 100,000 since man has been existed. It's been drilled into their head that they need to protect women, right? Because if your society loses all the men, who gives a crap? But if you lose all the women, you can't reproduce, right? Because you have one woman, she can only have one baby a year, right? So you can have 100 million men and one woman, who cares? But if you have 100 million women, you only need one man. If you have 100 women, you only need one man to impregnate all of them, and they can all get pregnant. You know what I mean? That's why the women are so considered up here, and men are considered they're disposable. But yeah, that's going to happen a lot of times, where a lot of men are going to die, and these men aren't even men; they're just little kids. People go into wars; they're usually 18 years, 20 years old. That's a child. Their brain hasn't even fully developed until you're like, 22, 25 or something? Then, of course, the rape aspect. I'm sure we can all figure that one out if you have women in your military. When they get caught, they're going to be raped big time. It makes and you could say this is misogynistic. But see, I'm a man, so I care more about my children, my sisters, nephews, nieces, daughters, sons, mothers, whatever's dads. I care about them more than this ideology about, oh, you're racist, you're transphobic, you're this, you're that. Well, you want to call me misogynistic? Go ahead. Because I'm not a little bitch that's going to crawl on the floor and start crying, oh, you call me a misogynist, I'm not going to tell the truth because I don't want to be called a name. Yeah. It makes the military look weak. Okay? When half of your military is female, all the countries in the world look at you like you are a weak, weak nation. That's a fact. Okay? Women look at it that way. Men look at it that way. It's not just a misogynistic whatever. You ask any woman, hey, if you have 100 men and 100 women, and your society depends on this battle, you can only send in one group or the other, either 100 men or 100 women. Which one are you going to send in? Everyone's going to say the men. Unless they're so brainwashed that they're, it makes us look weak. And not only that, it makes us look stupid. Because they want 50% of the military to be women, 20% to be trans, and that's just going to keep going up and up, that 20% with the trans thing. That's 70%. They want 70% of the military where it's illegal to send them into wars or in any combat. How does that make sense? Only 30% of your military actually can go to a war? And you think you people are so weak that you're giving up your military, basically, because if 70% is female and trans, they can't, by law, go into war zones. You have no military at that point, okay? So you deserve when your country goes down, right? Because the other countries, I would, even if I had a good country, I would be thinking about, hey, let's go take over that country, man. If they're so stupid, do they really deserve to be a country? They got no borders. They got no military. They don't even deserve a country. But men can run faster. They're stronger. They can carry stuff longer. You know what I mean? Backpacks and all that kind of stuff. They fight better. A man against a woman, that's not even a challenge. That's like a child against a man. You know what I mean? You might as well, men have denser bones, denser muscles. That's why you see the scrawny little kid, right? He'll pick up all this big weight, and then a woman will come in that looks all bulked out, and she looks like a man, and she can't even pick up half of what he did. You're like, what? She's like twice as big as him. Yeah, because he's dense. His bones are dense. His muscles are dense. His lungs are bigger. His air capacity is more. His lung capacity, his volume is more. Everything about him is better. Fighting, his arms are longer. Fighting, his legs are longer for running and fighting. If I can punch you, right? If you're a woman and I'm here, I'm punching you at this point, and your hand only goes to here, right? Who's going to win? All I have to do is stay at this distance, and I can keep punching you, and your arms won't reach me. That's why women aren't good fighters or good, for warriors, because their reach with their hands and their legs will never be that of a man. Their density of their bones and their muscles will never be that of a man. Their testosterone level will never be that of a man. Testosterone is a big deal in being a warrior and whatever. It makes adrenaline for you when you're fighting, when you're for your life and that. You know what I mean? What else we got here? All right, well, done with I thought I was going to do this in one video. Oh, wow, that took me a whole 9 minutes. All right, well, I'll try to babble here about some stuff here. But, they just want us to not have a military. They're getting rid of our military, right? So 70% of it, they want 70%. And keep in mind, if trans people were at 20% right now, and they want to, or say 18%, and women are 18%, and they want them to be 50%, and you saw the ratio of trans people. There's 16 million people that are trans people. There's only a couple million people in the military, 2 million in the military, and 16 million people that want trans stuff done to them. Obviously, you're gonna have, man, the entire military is just gonna be people that can't go to war. How do you get rid of someone? That's how you get rid of someone. How do you invade a country without actually going to war? You just send them in take the borders away and send them in with no guns. That's how you invade a country. How do you get rid of their military? Oh, you just just make the rules so that everyone can come in that can't actually go to war. And then you flood the army and military with those people. That's how you get rid of their military. And then how do you invade? Yeah, that's how you invade. How do you destroy the police department? Yeah, you lower the bar for women so that they're not qualified, right? You know what I mean? And you just hire them. Hire all. They want 50% women in the police force. None of them are qualified. Firemen, none of them are qualified. No one's qualified. These women in the military, even if they changed it so that they had to do the same physical requirements, right? The same test and everything. Everything was equal. You know what I mean? Because now, basically, women have no test. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, the men have to do 25 jumping jacks. So why don't you do one jumping jack? Okay. They got to do 20. Now after that, they got to do 50 push-ups. You know what? Why don't you give me one push-up? Oh, there you go. Okay. Now the men have to do 25 squats. Here, why don't you do one squat since you're a woman? That's their test. So they have no test right now. Okay, they have zero test, you might as well say. Even if they gave them equal, it wasn't, because that's female supremacy. See, when they have more rights than us, right? Or a group has more rights than another group, that's called supremacy. See? So when they lower the bar like that, that's called female supremacy. But the whole country is feminized and a bunch of female supremacists. So you wouldn't know because you have a vagina, right? And you refuse to take the vagina off, put it on the table, and walk away from the vagina. You refuse. I get it. I understand. But I lost my chain of thought. Don't smoke pot. It takes away all your short-term memories. Yeah. You don't care about your children, right? That's how weak Americans are. Like, because someone's going to call you a name, you'll just let men go into your 5-year-old little girl's changing room, bathroom, and you'll let the military be destroyed. And basically, we don't have a military here pretty soon. You know what I mean? Well, Trump might change things. But, yeah. Police force, firemen. You don't care that if some guy is raping your little 5-year-old girl or my 5-year-old little girl, because a woman comes by, what's she going to do? He's just going to punch her in the face and keep raping the little girl, right? And why did that happen? Because you didn't want to be called a name. You didn't want to be called misogynist. What a bitch. You're a little bitch if you do that, okay? If you're afraid of being called, I don't care what anyone calls me. You can call me a misogynist all freaking day. I'm not changing my decision. I don't want women in the military. Not because I hate them. Because I love my children. Because I love my sisters and mothers and brothers and nephews and whatever, nieces. That's why. And I want them to be protected by a military that actually can go to war. I know that sounds crazy. If that's your definition of misogyny, I want my children, I want my 5-year-old little girl to be protected by an actual military that can go to an actual war zone and fight an actual war. If that's your definition, then I'll tattoo it on my head if you'll just stop it. If you just stop letting women and trans people in the military. I'll do whatever. This is just crazy that we have given up our borders. We have given up our military. We've given up our police. We've given up on laws now because we got George Soros DAs that don't let murderers and rapists out while they spend billions to try to get Trump in jail. Like, if that isn't deep state. Like, what the heck? And you people, you just love it. You lap it up. You still... Because you know why you do it? Because the congressman, the president, they come to you and they say, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. Well, vote your interest because you're a piece of shit communist. Yeah, well, maybe you should vote the interest of the country instead of getting presents so that you can keep a corrupt government. You idiots.